The Legend of Zelda series has been going for over 30 years now, with 19 main series games all featuring Link as the main protagonist. I mean, don't get me wrong, I think Link's a fucking badass. But I do think it'd be cool to get a Zelda game featuring a different main character. Maybe not a main series title, maybe a spin-off, maybe something else, but a game that tells a story outside of the main Zelda narrative, as in Link defeats an incarnation of Demise's hatred. So would this work, and what would my story be? Okay, so there are a couple of spin-offs that don't feature Link, such as the Tingle games and one of the CDI games. But these aren't really Zelda games, as they don't hit the same spots as Zelda games do. They're not about exploration, combat, being a hero. In terms of the Tingle games, they're more puzzle game spin-offs, and who knows what the fuck the CDI games are meant to be. I think, for a proper Zelda game to work without Link, it still needs a hero. So who fits the bill? Personally, if there was to be a Zelda game featuring a hero that isn't Link, I'd love to see a Zelda game set in the 7 years that Link's asleep during Ocarina of Time, featuring of course Sheik as the main character. Obviously during Ocarina of Time we play as Link, so we see the whole game from his perspective, and that means during the 7-year period we have no idea what happened really. We get little snippets of information, but I think a game that properly fleshed this out would be amazing. From the moment that we see Impa riding off with Zelda all the way until, 7 years later, Zelda meets you in disguise as Sheik in the Temple of Time, we don't know what happened. I think a game that tells the story of Sheik's adventures, undercover in Ganondorf's Kingdom of Hyrule, would be amazing, and a Sheik spin-off is actually something Miyamoto considered. He's quoted as having said, "Within the development team too, there have been talks about how it might be cool to have a game that features Sheik as a protagonist. It's having maybe a Zelda spin-off with Sheik as a protagonist, for example. I don't think that's an impossibility." Okay, so say our god Aonuma blesses us with a Sheik game set during the 7-year gap in Ocarina of Time. How could it work, and what would the story be? Well, there are a lot of mysteries surrounding Sheik during this period, mysteries that could be solved in this game. Like I said, we don't know much at all about what happened with Sheik during the 7-year period that Link was sealed in the Temple of Time, so a game that follows Sheik through this time, leading up to her being ready to guide the Hero of Time when he awakens, would be amazing. So today I thought I'd do something I've never done before in this channel, kind of a storytelling video. I'm going to tell you my idea for a game that fits this 7-year gap in Ocarina of Time. I'm going to go through my personal idea for a game that fits in this 7-year gap, a game with Sheik as the main character. In my Sheik spin-off game, you'd begin in a hidden village, an abandoned ghost town previously inhabited by ancient Sheikah, similar to the village from Twilight Princess. We don't know if this is perhaps the same village from Twilight Princess or just another abandoned Sheikah settlement. We learn that Impa took Zelda here to an old Sheikah refuge after fleeing from Ganondorf, in order to teach Zelda the ways of the Sheikah. Here, for the first part of the game, you train under Impa and make the transformation from Zelda into Sheik. After training under Impa and completing some quests to prove that you're comfortable in your new guise as Sheik, she will tell you more of the legend of the Hero of Time. One thing I've always thought was fascinating about Ocarina is that it seems that the Hero of Time's fate was already decided before the events of the game. He's always referred to as a legendary figure, even before he's defeated Ganondorf. Sheik tells Link about the legend of the temples passed down by the Sheikah, and that Link really does look like the legendary Hero of Time. In this game, Impa will tell you more about this legend, and the part that Zelda, as Sheik, must play in it. The legend tells of an awakening voice that speaks to the sages from the Sacred Realm, awakening them. Impa tells you that in order to fulfill your part in the legend, you must find the Goddess Harp, an ancient relic used by the goddess Hylia in times long forgotten. After locating and obtaining this harp from the clutches of an ancient evil or an emissary of Ganondorf himself, you must then travel around Hyrule, learning 6 songs to teach the Hero of Time, known in this game as the Songs of the Sages: the Minuet of Forest, Bolero of Fire, Serenade of Water, Requiem of Spirits, Nocturne of Shadow, and finally the Prelude of Light. During your quest across Hyrule to learn these 6 songs, you slowly help the tortured land of Hyrule, freeing Princess Ruto from the frozen Zora's domain, and helping Castletown citizens escape the ruins of the city and flee to Kakariko Village. A Sheik game would have to have an emphasis on sneaking and stealth, since she's a ninja character. Perhaps since you're always hiding from Ganondorf's watchful eye, you must keep a low profile when travelling across Hyrule in order to avoid detection and capture by the King of Evil. At the climax of the game, once you've learned all 6 songs, rescued the Hylian people from Castletown and Princess Ruto from Zora's domain, 7 years have passed. Ganondorf, who knew of Link's slumber in the Temple of Time from the beginning, has been building his power and influence over the kingdom, and assaults the temple in order to kill Link and take the Triforce of Courage from the unsuspecting hero as soon as he awakens. The final boss of this game would be against a spirit of Ganondorf, an assassin sent by the King of Evil to take the Triforce of Courage from Link when his spirit is released from the Sacred Realm 7 years after it was sealed. The final boss room is the main hall of the temple itself. The sacred halls that have stood for thousands of years serve as the arena for an intense deathmatch. Finally, after this spirit of Ganondorf has been defeated, the game ends with a cutscene of the hero of time finally awakening, and with him, the promise of a future for the Kingdom of Hyrule. The Princess of Hyrule, in her guise as Sheik, successfully defended the hero and his legend from evil, and now with the might of the Master Sword and the sages, the Dark Age of Hyrule will come to an end. So that's my personal idea for how a game could fit in the 7-year gap in Ocarina of Time. What do you guys think about my thoughts? Do you have any other ideas for how Zelda spin-off games could work, or ones featuring Sheik? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, please leave a like on it, it really helps the channel out, and subscribe if you want to see more Zelda content. Cheers guys, and I'll see you next time.